In this video, I'm going to try and explain the British number plate system, or rather systems. So, what do these number plates mean? First of all, we actually need to discard this type because there is a previous type of number plate. This type on Took is a system that was in place from 1963 until 1984, I think it was the changeover year. And before that, there was a different system. So the first ever number plate was A1. So A was the area code for London, 1 was the start of the sequential sequence. Now that sequential sequence doesn't necessarily mean you can date it by that, you can get a good impression, but because they were issued by different authorities, because some batches might be given to a dealership, it's not as sequential as you might think. So a car with a bigger number isn't necessarily later than one with a lower number. All a bit strange. So A1 was the first one. A was London. I'm having to use this excellent book, Spotting the Number Plate. It was printed by Ian Allen Limited at some point in the 1960s, early 1960s, because this doesn't use the new system. And we can see, we have a look inside, there's London as an A. AA was Hampshire, because obviously they quickly ran out of single letters. But yeah, 2-letter code then became the norm. So the single letters, G for Glasgow, quickly ran out. But as you can see, there's a right mix. So GA is Glasgow, GB is Glasgow, GC is London. So you have to know this, you have to memorize all the different possibilities, and that's what this book is there for, really, is to help you decode that. So, you know, V is Lanark, VA is Lanark, VB is Croydon, down in London. So it varies a lot. You have to know this stuff, you have to revise if you want to be able to immediately decode a number plate. When they ran out of numbers on the 2-digit, then they did adopt a prefix. So that, let's say the VA for Lanark, it would have been AVA, then BVA and CVA, etc. But by the late 50s, they were starting to run out of number plates. So their simple solution was, some had 4 numbers, they're quite rare, and the other way is they flipped it. And if you look at this picture of an Austin Westminster I used to own, that's got the flipped number plate 571XUU, I think. I'm going to look very foolish if that's not what it was, but I'm pretty sure that was the plate. Just to get into a minor technicality, that's actually a reissue. Someone took the original number plate off that car because the older number plates are worth money to people with initials, which is most people. They will pay thousands of pounds for a number plate that's got their initials. So people take the IDs off, or take the number plates off rather, sell those. DVLA issue them new plates. It's all very, very confusing. So that's the pre-63 system. In 1963, this system came into being. So again, we've got the 2 letters, WC. This is for Essex, deciphering that code. So the code's changed as well in 1963, and it would have been A for the first one, obviously, and that came in on the A plate. Now the A plate was actually optional in 1963. It started in January 1963. Some councils and regions who had plenty of capacity just kept issuing number plates without this suffix letter. So it was always January until 1968, when car manufacturers and dealers especially were like, well, we sell more cars in the summer, can't we use it as a summer incentive? So it was on the E plate, I think. It actually came in early on the August to swap to the F plate, and F was then August through to the following July. So this K plate on Took, we can summarise from that. She was registered somewhere between the August of 1971 and the July of 1972, and so she was. So that's why she got a K. She got a WC because she was registered in Essex, actually at the Invercar factory, I suspect, in Essex. And by the early 1980s, this formula was starting to get a bit long in the tooth. This is from a Diane I used to own a long time ago. In fact, it says RIP 1998. But the X symbolises she was registered in 1982, and that's very true. But there was only Y to follow, and then this sequence ran out of letters. They didn't do a Z for a couple of reasons. One, it looks quite like a 2, and 2, Zs were used in Northern Ireland. Different plate system entirely. We will get to that. We're only covering Great Britain. That's England, Scotland and Wales using this system of plates. So after Y, they switched to A. They moved from a suffix plate to a prefix. So it's still the same formula. We've got an A, which denotes the year, August 1983 to July 1984. And Foxham was registered, it was either December or January 83, 84. Random set of numbers, often issued in blocks, so don't read too much into the numbers. And AAN. A is just the first of the AN series, and the AN means she was registered in Swindon, of all places. So after A came B. Now, a lot of people are always asking me about this plate. This is from my first 2CV, who I called Sweet Pea. She's got a B plate, which denotes 84 to 85. She was a 1984, as I remember. Only 2 numbers, because it just happens to be earlier in the sequence. And I like that. I like that because I think it just looks nice. I love the look of 2-digit number plates. But that's just as it would have been issued. And it's the same for Ellie, the 2CV. She has a C for 85 to 86. And again, she just happened to be assigned a 9-1. Now, while Sweet Pea was registered in Wolverhampton, denoted by the EA, Ellie, the 2CV, was registered in Shrewsbury. That's what the UJ denotes. So let's look through some other cars on the fleet and see if we can work out where they were registered. So if we move to Giselle, we're all a bit crammed in here at the moment. See, LBE is her number plate code. So again, a C plate, same as Ellie. So she was registered somewhere between 85 and 86. And the BE denotes she was registered in Lincoln, which is in the far east of England. Very, very impressive cathedral there. So we've already covered Ellie. And actually, we can talk about another thing here. I'm going to talk about fonts as well. Because if I take this plate, in 2001, the number plate format changed, which we'll see in a moment, because I now own vehicles of that nature. But if I show you these, you'll see a very subtle difference in the font. This is the post-2001 font in a slightly naughty 3D format that you're not meant to use. Whereas this is the pre-2001 font. This number plate is an exact replica of the plate she would have worn brand new. When they did the new number format in 2001, which we'll look at shortly because they ran out of letters again, they also changed the font and made it illegal to make number plates with this font on. You had to use the new font. A ridiculous rule, and one I'm quite happy to break. I don't normally go in for that sort of thing, but I don't see why something that was legal when the car was new is still legal on the car now. It's only illegal to make exactly the same number plate. Stupid rule. So yeah, I've had plates made up. I'm not going to tell you where because I don't want people to get in trouble, but there are various places that will do number plates. Because you can see Tuck's number plate is starting to delaminate. It's what happens over time. Moisture is getting in. So at some point I will have to replace that number plate, and technically it's illegal to get a number plate made up that looks like that, even though it's entirely legal to have that number plate that looks like that on the car. Stupid rule, but there we go. So we better jump to the 2001 format, because when that came out, things changed a lot. We'll just briefly include another example. My Daewoo Matiz BD says she was registered in Northampton. That happened to be where Daewoo headquarters was based. Daewoo was slightly different back then. They weren't using traditional dealerships, so all the cars were issued from Northampton. I think most of them ended up wearing Northampton plates. See, this one's even got the original Daewoo on it. Again, getting delaminated I could do with getting a replacement made up. Technically illegal, bit of a dodgy one. But if we jump onto the Daihatsu here, we see a different number plate format. So this came in after they ran to Y as a prefix. By then, it was in 1998, I think, on the S plate. There were then 2 registration periods per year to try and satisfy the car dealers, because they had their big boom in August. Everyone wanted the latest number plate, but then it would die off for the rest of the year. So it switched to September and March. With the S plate. So the T plate on Myrtle here shows she was registered between March and September 1999, and then in September it went to a V. I bought this car in August, so I could have waited and Myrtle would have been a V plate, but I don't give a monkeys about such things, so I didn't do that. So we're now on a 6-monthly cycle. The plates changed in 2001, so after Y came 51. Rita the Rover, as you can see in this picture, is a 51 plate, and if we take that format away, or break it down rather, these 2 letters are now the signifier that tell you where the car was registered. These 3 entirely random, ZPU in this case. So again, they would be issued in blocks like the numbers were before, usually with the same sort of code on the front. So you get ZPU, ZPW, etc. would be a block of number plates. So on Rita, the KN says that she was registered in Northampton. CK signifies Cardiff, so this has been a Wales car from new. And 06 suggests she was registered some point between the 1st of March 2006 and September of that year. And at the end of September it would have gone to the 56. So it's a slightly confusing setup, but that's what the more modern system works like. So we're currently on 70 because we're beyond September of 2020. So 70 means 2020, and well, no, we'll be on to 21 next year. So CK21, for instance, will be the 2021 March to September plate, at which point it will then go to 71. So it's slightly confusing with these more modern number plates. Well, there you go. I hope that quick little video has explained something about how the British number plate systems work. Interesting, we do have a system where you can go online and check MOT history of cars, and I'll put a link to that website in the description below. I know a lot of people do it when I say I've got my car in for MOT. Other countries have similar things. New Zealand does. So I know that Betty the Ford Fairmont has failed her WOF, her warrant of fitness, this year. But don't worry, I'm in touch with the chap who bought Betty from me, and he says all will be well, and hopefully by the time you see this video maybe, she will be road legal once again and thundering around the roads of New Zealand. Talking quickly on MOTs, if a car is over 40 years old, as Tuk is, you no longer need the annual MOT. And given most people don't understand this car, I've made the decision not to MOT this car. She might go in for a test from time to time, maybe every couple of years, but she's not really doing the mileage to warrant the checks. But all the other cars on my fleet are subject to an annual road fitness test. In fact, Foxanne, her MOT will run out this week, so that will be running out very soon, but I'm probably not going to bother. We're getting into Christmas now. I think Foxanne may have one last little hurrah. We'll take her out for a bit of a razz on a day that's slightly less stormy, but then she'll have a rest until I MOT her in the new year. So yeah, hopefully that's been of interest and helps you decode the mystery of the British number plate system. Northern Ireland plates, I don't understand their system, but it tends to be 3 letters, usually ending with a Z, and then 4 numbers. And I think they're sequential. I don't fully understand, but it's entirely legal to have Northern Ireland plates on a car in Great Britain. So it's not unusual for coach companies to buy those Northern Ireland plates because they're cheap and put them on their coaches. It hides the age because obviously this letter is a big giveaway to the age of the vehicle. And that's something that's fairly unique to the UK, is having this age identifier. I know a lot of countries don't have anything like that at all. So yeah, hopefully that helps explain what's going on with number plates. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget you can head to the Donut store, but only until the 18th of December. We're closing it for 2 weeks, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Farewell.